Verses 5 to 19. We have here an account of Peter's deliverance out of prison, by which the design of Herod against him was defeated, and his life preserved for further service, and a stop given to this bloody torrent. Now, one thing that magnified his deliverance was that it was a signal answer to prayer. v5 Peter was kept in prison with a great deal of care, so that it was altogether impossible, either by force or by stealth, to get him out. But prayer was made without ceasing of the church unto God for him, for prayers and tears are the church's arms, therewith she fights, not only against her enemies, but for her friends, and to these means they have recourse. The delay of Peter's trial gave them time for prayer. It is probable that James was hurried off so suddenly and so privately that they had not time to pray for him, God so ordering it that they should not have space to pray, when he designed they should not have the thing they prayed for. James must be offered upon the sacrifice and service of their faith, and therefore prayer for him is restrained and prevented, but Peter must be continued to them, and therefore prayer for him is stirred up, and time is given them for it, by Herod's putting off the prosecution. Howbeit, he meant not so, neither did his heart think so. They were very particular in their prayers for him, that it would please God, some way or other, to defeat Herod's purpose, and to snatch the lamb out of the jaws of the lion. The death of James alarmed them to a greater fervency in their prayer for Peter, for, if they be broken thus with breach upon breach, they fear that the enemy will make a full end. Stephen is not, and James is not, and will they take Peter also? All these things are against them, this will be sorrow upon sorrow. Philosophy 2:27. Note, though the death and sufferings of Christ's ministers may be made greatly to serve the interests of Christ's kingdom, yet it is the duty and concern of the Church earnestly to pray for their life, liberty, and tranquility, and sometimes Providence orders it that they are brought into imminent danger, to stir up prayer for them. Prayer was made without ceasing, it was, prosouche ektenes fervent prayer. It is the word that is used concerning Christ's praying in his agony more earnestly, it is the fervent prayer of the righteous man, that is effectual, and availeth much. Some think it denotes the constancy and continuance of their prayers, so we take it, they prayed without ceasing. It was an extended prayer, they prayed for his release in their public assemblies, private ones, perhaps, for fear of the Jews, then they went home, and prayed for it in their families, then retired into their closets, and prayed for it there, so they prayed without ceasing, or first one knot of them, and then another, and then a third, kept a day of prayer, or rather a night of prayer, for him. v12. Note, times of public distress and danger should be praying times with the Church, we must pray always, but then especially. Another thing that magnified his deliverance was that when the king's commandment and decree drew near to be put in execution, then his deliverance was wrought, as Est 9:1, 2. Let us observe when his deliverance came. It was the very night before Herod designed to bring him forth, which made it to be so much the greater consolation to his friends and confusion to his enemies. It is probable some who had an interest in Herod, or those about him, had been improving it to get a discharge for Peter, but in vain. Herod resolves he shall die. And now they despair of prevailing in this way, for tomorrow is the day set for the bringing of him forth, and, it is likely, they will make as quick work with him as with his master, and now God opened a door of escape for him. Note, God's time to help is when things are brought to the last extremity, when there is none shut up nor left, Do 32:36, and for this reason it has been said, the worse the better. When Isaac is bound upon the altar, and the knife in the hand, and the hand stretched out to slay him, then Jehovah Jireh, the Lord will provide. It was when he was fast bound with 2 chains, between 2 soldiers, so that if he offered to stir he wakes them, and, besides this, though the prison doors, no doubt, were locked and bolted, yet, to make sure work, the keepers before the door kept the prison, that no one might so much as attempt to rescue him. Never could the art of man do more to secure a prisoner. Herod, no doubt, said, as Pilate, Mt 27:65, make it as sure as you can. When men will think to be too hard for God, God will make it appear that he is too hard for them. It was when he was sleeping between the soldiers, fast asleep. Not terrified with his danger, though it was very imminent, and there was no visible way for his escape. There was but a step between him and death, and yet he could lay himself down in peace, and sleep in the midst of his enemies' sleep when, it may be, they were awake, having a good cause that he suffered for, and a good conscience that he suffered with, and being assured that God would issue his trial that way that should be most for his glory. Having committed his cause to him that judgeth righteously, his soul dwells at ease, and even in prison, between two soldiers, God gives him sleep, as he doth to his beloved. Not expecting his deliverance, he did not keep awake, looking to the right hand, or to the left, for relief, but lay asleep, and was perfectly surprised with his deliverance. Thus the Church, PS 126:1 we were like those that dream. It also magnified his deliverance very much that an angel was sent from heaven on purpose to rescue him, which made his escape both practicable and warrantable. This angel brought him a legal discharge, and enabled him to make use of it. The angel of the Lord came upon him, ipest stood over him. He seemed as one abandoned by men, yet not forgotten of his God, the Lord thinketh upon him. Gates and guards kept all his friends from him, but could not keep the angels of God from him, and they invisibly encamp round about those that fear God, to deliver them, PS 34:7, and therefore they need not fear, though a host of enemies encamp against them, PS 27:3. Wherever the people of God are, and however surrounded, they have a way open heavenward, nor can anything intercept their intercourse with God. A light shone in the prison. Though it is a dark place, and in the night, Peter shall see his way clear. Some observe that we do not find in the Old Testament that where angels appeared the light shone round about them, for that was a dark dispensation, and the glory of angels was then veiled. But in the New Testament, when mention is made of the appearing of the angels, notice is taken of the light that they appeared in, for it is by the gospel that the upper world is brought to light. The soldiers to whom Peter was chained were either struck into a deep sleep for the present, as Saul and his soldiers were when David carried off his spear and cruse of water, or, if they were awake, the appearance of the angel made them to shake, and to become as dead men, as it was with the guard set on Christ's sepulchre. The angel awoke Peter, by giving him a blow on his side, a gentle touch, enough to rouse him out of his sleep, though so fast asleep that the light that shone upon him did not awaken him. When good people slumber in a time of danger, and are not awakened by the light of the word, and the discoveries it gives them, let them expect to be smitten on the side by some sharp affliction, better be raised up so than left asleep. The language of this stroke was, arise up quickly, not as if the angel feared coming short by his delay, but Peter must not be indulged in it. When David hears the sound of the going on the tops of the mulberry trees, then he must rise up quickly, and bestir himself. His chains fell off from his hands. It seems they had handcuffed him, to make him sure, but God loosed his bands, and, if they fall off from his hands, it is as well as if he had the strength of Samson to break them like threads of tow. Tradition makes a mighty rout about these chains, and tells a formal story that one of the soldiers kept them for a sacred relic, and they were long after presented to Eudoxia the empress, and I know not what miracles are said to have been wrought by them, and the Romish Church keeps a feast on the 1st of August yearly in remembrance of Peter's chains, Festum Vinculorum Petri, the feast of Peter's chains, whereas this was at the Passover. Surely they are thus fond of Peter's chains in hope with them to enslave the world.